Hi gang, so getting into the Horus Heresy can be a little daunting, especially when it's an existing game and there are already so many units out there that do different things, and even more so when they all look pretty much the same. So if you're new to Heresy and don't know the difference between a Praevian and a Apothecary, a Despoiler squad and a Destroyer squad, then this is the video for you. I'm going to go through each unit in the ASTARTES list, explain what they are, and how to find them. Alright, so a video like this could take ages, so let's set some parameters. First, I'm going to run you through every unit available to the Legiones Astartes, but I am not going to do all the Legion-specific units. Not only are they already pretty recognizable, but it would take ages, maybe another video. Second, I'm going to include both the core units from the Legion's books and the extended units from the Legendary Units PDF, which covers a lot of the kits from the first edition of the game that Games Workshop either currently doesn't sell or doesn't sell explicitly as Heresy units. As per that PDF, both core and extended units are valid in all forms of play, so there's no reason to exclude them. Third, while I'm going to show you the official models as of July 2022, you should be aware that things like the armor marks of Marines can be whatever you want. Your tactical squad could be wearing this, or this, or this, or a mix of any of them, and this counts for characters and consoles too. For most regular non-Terminator Marines, it just doesn't matter what mark of power armor you use. And finally, I'm not going to talk about how good each unit is in the meta or which ones are best or whatever. Competitive gaming is not my thing. I think it's particularly silly in something like Warhammer. I'm just going to go over what each unit's meant to do, how they're meant to differ from all the other ones, and then show you what they look like. Right, I've got my army list books at the ready. Let's start with characters. The Legion Praetor is your first character choice and the de facto leader of your army. Though they're called a Praetor in this, they represent all the lords, chapter masters, captains, and commanders of the Legion, and they're a really flexible unit with loads of options, including the option to take Terminator armor or special equipment like a jump pack, bike, or jet bike. But the most important thing you have to remember about Praetors is their Master of the Legion rule, which allows the army to take a right of war, which is how you turn your army from a collection of random Marines into a drop assault force or an armoured company or whatever. There are loads and loads of models for Praetors. Forge World have a range of Legion-specific ones, and there are plastic versions available in the starter set and separately, and loads of people choose to kit bash their own. Also, many of the special characters in the Heresy also count as Praetors and get the Master of the Legion rules, so these aren't your only option to do that. Next up is the Legion Centurion, and this is a bit more complicated as this guy represents all of the other officers a Legion might need. The basic Legion Centurion is a less impressive Praetor with many of the same options in terms of weapons, armor, and transport, but without Master of the Legion, so no rights of war. Instead, Centurions can be upgraded to consuls, and each of the consul types represents a different sort of specialist officer. The consul types available are Legion Librarian, which gives the Centurion psychic powers and options for some force weapons. The Legion Master of Signals, whose suite of communications equipment helps you get your reserves to the table. The Legion Esoterist, a psyker who specializes in demonology and lets you take demon units in your army or defend against them. The Legion Champion, a fighter who specializes in dueling enemy characters. A Legion Delegatus, a diplomatic officer who does have the Master of the Legion rule, like a Praetor, so you can get those rights of war into a smaller game. The Legion Chaplain, similar to 40k, a morale officer who encourages your units to fight harder. A Legion Vigilator, a lone sniper and assassin. A Legion Pathfinder, which is a scout officer. The Legion Herald, who carries the Legion Standard. A Legion Forge Lord, a high-ranking tech marine who lets you take Mechanicum Thalax units in your army. A Legion Primus Medici, a high-ranking apothecary. A Legion Siegebreaker, an artillery officer who improves your ability to blow up buildings or vehicles. The Legion Armistos, an armory officer who can be equipped with a heavy weapon. The Legion Moritat, a lone gunslinger with dual pistols and rad grenades, and also the only officer who can be attached to destroyer squads. The Legion Mortifactor, a sort of tech marine who specializes in Dreadnaughts, and the Legion Praevian, another sort of tech marine who specializes in the control of robots, and who can take a squad as his bodyguard. Finally, in the expanded options, you have the Legion Primus Nullifactor, a counter-psychic officer, and the Legion Warmonger, who's a fighter specializing in teleport strike operations. Some of these are generalist officers who are just bonuses to your army. Some of them are obviously intended to lead specific units, but they're all options, as you've probably seen from the list. Not all of these are available as models from Forge World, but some are pretty easy to convert on your own, and there is one official Centurion model for just the plain guy with no upgrades, though again, you could just stick a fancy hat on a sergeant. Also, it's worth saying that while Centurions can take Terminator armor and options like jet bikes, that equipment might also limit what sort of console they can be. You can't have a Legion scouting officer in Terminator armor, for example. The next HQ choice is the Legion Command Squad, which are the bodyguard for a Praetor, between 3 and 9 veteran Marines, or between 3 and 5 Terminator Marines, one of whom is always a standard bearer, and all of whom have tons of different weapon options. The regular squad can also take bikes or jump packs, just in case your character has those. There's no official Command Squad kit, but Forge World do sell a command set in various different flavours, and sometimes Legion specific. These usually include a sort of champion sergeant figure and a banner bearer who could also double as your herald console. Finally, the last HQ choice is the Damocles Command Rhino, a command kitted out Rhino from Forge World that lets your leader affect morale across the army. It's basically a Rhino with a radar dish on it, so it's an easy thing to convert even if you don't get the Forge World model. Okay, moving on to elites. The Legion Veteran Squad is a flexible squad of regular Marines who, like the Command Squad, have loads of different individual weapon options and can be configured however you like. There are no kits for these, you just build them out of whatever you've got with some extra weapons. But it's worth pointing out that if you're just starting Heresy, then you've probably got Mark 6 Marines, which were released as tactical squads, so they only have bolt guns. But the older Mark 3 and 4 sets, which were originally released for boxed games, include a heavy weapon and a special weapon each, so they work a lot better as your veteran squad. Now, we're getting onto familiar territory with the Legion Cataphracti and the Legion Tartaros Terminator squads. 5 to 10 models with a combination of combi bolters and power weapons who can take lightning claws or thunderhammers or heavy weapons. Cataphracti is the heavier, slower version, and Tartaros is the faster, lighter version, but otherwise they broadly have the same options. Both are available as plastic kits. Okay, first of the really heresy-specific units, the Legion Destroyer Squads are Marines armed with prescribed and particularly dangerous weaponry for doing war crimes with, like rad grenades or phosphex bombs. In this list, they come in 2 flavours. Both come as standard with 2 bolt pistols and a chainsword, but the Destroyer Assault Squad has jump packs, whereas the Destroyer Mortalis Squad has access to more heavy weapon options. 2 weird ones here. A Legion Apothecarian detachment is 1 unit choice of between 1 and 8 apothecaries who are then split up and attached to other units in your army where they can heal them. And a Legion Tech Marine Covenant is a similar thing, except they heal vehicles. Forge World make models for both of these, and to be fair, you can probably also use the 40k versions. Also, these models could be used to represent the Forge Lord or Primus Medicae console options, which is also the only way you can have an apothecary or a Tech Marine walking around on their own. The Legion Contemptor Dreadnaught Talon is the iconic Dreadnaught of the Heresy, available as a unit of between 1 and 3 stompy guys with all the usual weapon options, including the option to take 2 of the same weapon, which is what used to be called a Mortis Dreadnaught. And finally, a Legion Rapier Battery is a tracked support weapon crewed by 2 Marines. You can have up to 3 in a unit, and they can take a selection of main weapons like quad launchers or laser destroyers. The extended units also give us Legion Nullifactor squads. These are squads invented mid-heresy to try and counter psychic powers and demonology. They're cataphracti terminators inscribed with hexagramic wards and carrying shock staves. But there are no models for them, so you'll have to convert them. And finally, the Legion Castra Ferrum Dreadnaught Talon represents the less advanced box dreadnaughts familiar from 40k. Like their big brothers, the Contemptors, they come in units of 1 to 3 and they can take all sorts of weapons. Okay, so on to the mainstay of the Legions and where things can get a little confusing. So, troops. Your basic Legion tactical squad consists of 10 to 20 Legionnaires armed with bolt guns. Like most regular Marine units, the squad can include a Nuncio Vox, which is a comms device, or a Vexilla, a banner, and their sergeant has access to specialist weapons, but the regular Marines don't get anything else. Just bolt guns with optional bayonets or chain bayonets. They have the Fury of the Legion rule, which means that those bolt guns are pretty effective though, and Heart of the Legion, so they're perfect for holding objectives. It goes without saying that these can be represented by any of the basic Marine boxes. Their counterparts, preferred by some of the more savage legions as their line troops, are the Legion Despoiler Squad. This is the same unit, but with chainswords and bolt pistols instead of bolt guns, a bit like an assault squad without jump packs, and they get a bonus on the turn they charge. Forge World do currently make options for these in resin, but they're also pretty easy to build yourself with some spare 40k marine bits, and I wouldn't be surprised if plastics turn up soon. Legion assault squads are also troops and consist of 10 to 20 legionnaires with bolt pistols, chainswords, and jump packs with all of the normal squad options and the ability for 1 in 5 marines to take a fancy pistol. These are again currently available from Forge World in the older armor marks, but like the Despoiler squads, they're pretty easy to convert, and I'd expect plastic versions at some point. And Legion Breacher squads are your defensive option, 10 to 20 marines armed with boarding shields and bolt guns, and who can swap their bolt guns for Volkite charges, perfect for holding the line or boarding enemy spacecraft in Zone Mortalis games. Again, these are currently available as resin kits from Forge World. Now, these first 4 units, Tactical, Despoiler, Assault and Breacher squads, are the mainstay of your army, the big line units who can hold and deny objectives. But there are 3 more troops choices, all of which have the Support Squad rule, which means you can't use them to fill out your compulsory troop slot. Legion Tactical Support Squads consist of 5 to 10 marines, all armed with the same special weapon, from flamers to Volkite calibers. Even the sergeant takes one of the special weapons. You can make these from any of the plastic kits and the weapon upgrade kits. Legion Reconnaissance Squads and Legion Scout Squads are both infiltrators, units with the infiltrate and scout rules, who can take bolters, limited assault weapons, or sniper weapons, and both deploy in hiding ahead of your army. The main difference is that Reconnaissance Squads wear power armor, where Scout Squads wear the lighter scout armor and get moved through cover as a result. For Heresy veterans, this is the old Reconnaissance Squad split into 2 separate units. Finally, the extended units give us this, the Legion Terminator Endometer squad, and this is an interesting one. So these are the 40k style Terminators. At the time of the Heresy, they were considered a less advanced version. They're not as heavily armoured as a Cataphracti, and they're not as fast as a Tartaros, but they all have similar weapon options, including prototype storm shields, and they come with power fists. Plus, of course, they're available as troops, albeit with the support squad rule. We'll see if that stays the same. Now, dedicated transports. There are 4 in this section, and they can only be taken as part of another unit, and the unit's rules will tell you which dedicated transports it can take. But while these 4 are only ever taken as dedicated transports, we should say now that there are some units coming later who can be taken on their own or as dedicated transports. The standard is the Legion Rhino Transport, the basic metal box everyone from 40k is familiar with, and most infantry marine units can take this. It carries 12 models now. Fancier than that is the Legion Termite Assault Drill, which more specialist units like Breachers have access to, and that allows you to perform subterranean assaults. Lastly, you've got the Legion Drop Pod and the Legion Dreadnaught Drop Pod, which allow your units to deploy via a drop pod assault. But while most dreadnoughts have access to their drop pod as standard, the infantry version can only be taken if you've selected the correct rite of war. You can't just have an odd drop pod unit. Okay, on to fast attack. Legion Seeker squads are specialist marines tasked with hunting and eliminating enemy characters. To do this, they have special Kraken bolters, the precision shots and Mark for Death special rules, and they can infiltrate. They're basically marines with fancy bolters. Forge World used to sell these as resin kits, but they can probably be converted pretty easily with something like Deathwatch bolters if a plastic sprue isn't out by the time you're watching this. Legion Outrider squadrons are legionnaires riding bikes. They get the scout and hit and run rules to make them more maneuverable and a limited selection of assault weapons to pick from, and their bikes can be equipped all with special weapons like melter guns or flamers. Legion Sky Hunter squadrons are legionnaires riding the much bigger jet bikes. They also get hit and run and deep strike, and all their jet bikes can take a selection of heavy weapons. Veteran players note that the old Sky Hunter and Sky Slayer units have been folded into this one. Also in the world of bikers, the extended rules give us access to Legion Spatha attack bike squadrons armed with heavy weapons, including autocannons now. We have one fast attack tank, the Legion Saber Strike Squadron, a speedy and pretty flexible little assault tank with a range of weapons, and then we're on to all the speeders. The Legion Javelin Squadron is the more heavily armed of the two, with missile launcher and las cannon options, and the Legion Proteus Land Speeder option is the lighter but more flexible version. There are no longer any specific options, either in the core or extended rules, for any of the other sorts of land speeder from 40k, But the Proteus Landspeeder entry does cover all of the options that any of the other Landspeeders could take, so you can just use that. Onto flyers, and we have the Legion Storm Eagle gunship, a transport flyer that can carry 22 models and has a ton of mostly anti-infantry weapons, and the Legion Xiphon Interceptor, a lighter, faster, but more heavily armed fighter jet. We also get the Legion Dreadclaw drop pod. So this is a transport vehicle with a capacity of 12, but unlike the normal drop pod, you can just take it in a regular army, and it can take off again and fly around like any other flyer. The expanded rules also give you options for some really popular Forge World flyers that were very effective in the first edition of the game. You can take the Legion Avenger Strike Fighter, a ground attack craft, the Legion Thunderbolt Fighter, a heavily armed all-rounder, or the Legion Primaris Lightning Fighter, the lightest of all but with a pretty scary missile payload. And then finally, there's the Legion Tarantula Sentry Gun Battery, a group of automated guns that I'm pretty sure used to be able to deep strike or something, but I'm not sure why they're in fast attack now. Okay, on to heavy support. There's quite a lot here. The Legion Heavy Support Squad, like the Legion Tactical Support Squad, consists of 5 to 10 Marines armed with the same heavy weapon, including the Sergeant. You build these models with any of the regular Marine kits and a heavy weapon upgrade sprue. Then we get 2 sorts of heavy support Dreadnaughts. The Legion Leviathan Dreadnaught is the great big heresy one with close range weapons, which has just been made available as a plastic kit, and the Legion Deredeo Dreadnaught is a long range fire support one, which is available in resin from Forge World. Okay, tanks. The Legion Predator Squadron is the smallest of the battle tanks, but has a huge range of options for turret and sponson weapons and comes in squadrons of 1 to 4. This is a new plastic kit for the heresy. Next up on the scale is the Legion Sicaran Squadron, which has an even bigger range of heavy weapons available, and it's actually split across 4 different entries in the book, with each available as a squadron of 1 or 2 tanks. And then the biggest of the battle tanks is the Legion Kratos Squadron, a bigger version of the Sicaran basically, and a big new unit for this version of Heresy, available in squadrons of 1 or 2. Finally, in the world of battle tanks, the extended rules give us the Legion Malcador Assault Tank Squadron. You can make use of the battle cannon or las cannon versions from Forge World. The standard heavy transport of the Heresy is of course the Land Raider, and we get a few options here. The basic model is the Legion Proteus Land Raider, available either as a squadron of up to 3 tanks, each of which can carry 12 models, or as a single Proteus Explorator, which sacrifices some transport capacity and the ability to assault from it for an Explorator Augury Web and the ability to scout. Proteus Land Raiders are also available as dedicated transports for some other squads, like Terminators or Breacher squads. The even bigger version of this is everyone's favourite Heresy transport, the Land Raider Spartan, a huge Land Raider with quad las cannons and a transport capacity of 26 models. But the expanded rules also give us the Land Raider Phobos, that's the standard 40k one, and the Land Raider Achilles, an extremely heavily armoured version which, for the Heresy veterans again, folds in the old Achilles Alpha option too. Artillery and weapons platforms next, and we start with some reliable Rhino-based vehicles. The Legion Vindicator Squadron, armed with the classic Demolisher Cannon or the Heresy-specific Magna Laser Destroyer. We get the Legion Scorpius Squadron with a Scorpius missile launcher, and the extended rules give us access to its predecessor, the Legion Whirlwind Squadron. The more Heresy-specific artillery comes in the form of the Legion Arquitor Squadron, a dedicated artillery vehicle in the same style as a Sicaran and with a couple of weapon options. And finally, the expanded rules give us the Legion Basilisk and Legion Medusa Squadrons, both of which are available from Forge World, though they've been moved to Legendary, so let's see how long that lasts, as well as the ancient Legion Minotaur battery with its dual Earthshaker cannons. I'm not sure this was available to Legions before, but now it is. Also in heavy support are some pretty scary flyers. The Legion Fire Raptor gunship is a much more heavily armed version of the Storm Eagle, and the Charybdis Assault Claw, a massive version of the Dreadclaw drop pod, with a transport capacity of 22. You also gain access to Deathstorm drop pods, which replace their transport capacity with missile launchers. Finally, the extended rules bring us back the Cestus Assault Ram, a really heavily armed transport flyer designed for boarding actions. Okay, last in this very long list are Lords of War. This is where all the really big centerpiece models are that aren't Primarchs. The Legion Cerberus and Legion Typhon are both variants of the Spartan, with the transport capacity removed and replaced with guns, and they can be taken in squads of up to 2 vehicles each. The Legion Fellblade is a super heavy battle tank, the sort of Space Marine version of a Baneblade, and a fair amount more dangerous, and it has two variants, the Glaive and the Falchion, armed with even rarer weapon systems. However, the extended rules also give your Legion access to all the Baneblade variants, so you can take a Legion Shadow Sword, or a Legion Stormblade with a plasma blast gun if you want. The Legion Mastodon is the biggest ground-based vehicle here, a colossal super heavy transport with a capacity of 42 and its own void shield generators, and its size is equalled by the super heavy flyers here, the Legion Thunderhawk transport and the even bigger Legion Sokar Stormbird. The extended rules also allow you to take the Thunderhawk transporter version, which carries tanks. Finally, the extended rules allow for loads of non-standard tanks that were discovered throughout the Crusade, and these are represented by datasheets for the various Forge World Macarius variants, the Crassus Armoured Assault Transport, and the Praetor Armoured Assault Launcher, as well as two Lord of War flyers, the Marauder and Marauder Destroyer. A simple and easy way for you to be able to build whatever relic of the Age of Strife you feel like. And with those, that's it. All the standard Legion units you can take in your army. Hopefully this clears up the difference between a Despoiler and a Destroyer, a Cerberus and a Falchion for those new to this, and maybe overwhelmed by choice. Of course, each Legion has its own selection of characters and units, and occasionally a restriction saying you can't take a specific option, but those are probably best saved for other videos. For now, have fun building your army, and thanks for watching. And if you'd like more Heresy content, there should be another video just coming up on the right there. And if you'd like to get some videos early or support the channel, then click the link below to join the Patreon. See ya!